Thank you so much, faculty and staff of Amity International Business School, organizers of the program, and dear undergraduate students of business administration. Thank you for this opportunity to address this vibrant gathering. As you launch your management careers, you are euphoric that you have arrived. Yes, it is true that you are at an important milestone in your life. It is equally true, though, that your journey, my friends, has only just begun. When I see all of you before me, I see the future leaders and managers of tomorrow's India. You will go forth into the corporate world or the world of public service, or you will wave the tricolor high in foreign shores. And you will be called upon to demonstrate leadership in everything that you do. So that is what I will speak to you today about being a leader. I have always wondered why so many of us want to be leaders. What is it about leadership that makes it so attractive across cultures and continents? We attend training programs, read books, emulate role models, organize workshops, attend talks and lectures, all in the quest of the holy grail of leadership. I work in a profession, the IAS, the Indian Administrative Service, which has become the sine qua non for leadership in our country. In most parts of the globe, the civil servant is a rather dull, boring person in a routine small-time job. In India, by a combination of history and circumstances, the demand for grassroots, situational leadership has resulted in the IAS being seen as an exciting, aspirational leadership job option. That said, I have seen the nature of leadership and the public demand on leaders change and evolve in the course of my 34-year career. When I entered the civil service, the IAS officer was somewhat of a Wild West cowboy or cowgirl, a lone ranger shouldering the burden and solving the problems of her or his territory. But by 1987, Karnataka had introduced the Panchayati Raj legislation, followed by the 73rd and the 74th constitutional amendment nationwide. This meant that the IAS learnt to work in a decentralized, devolved political structure at the local level, and power was shared with elected Jilla, Taluka and Gram Panchayat members. I was a young officer in Dharwad district in Karnataka at the time, and I recall loud arguments and pitched battles between officers and politicians, that is the Zilla Panchayat members, as to the best course of implementing programs. And not just the IAS. The state level leadership had to learn to share leadership as well. Today, we speak of disruptive leadership. Well, the Panchayati Raj was one of the greatest disruptions in our nation's history. The next major change was something which many of you are familiar with, the 1991 balance of payments and the structural adjustment and economic reforms it ushered in. In terms of the IAS and government in general, The single biggest adjustment was the curtailing of the powers of government and the end of the license Raj. It did not mean that the leadership role of the bureaucracy ended. Rather, it demanded mid-course operational correction and adaptation. Suddenly, common sense leadership was no longer enough. Now the IAS officer had to learn to navigate complex contracts and learn new managerial skills to steer networks which are horizontal in nature. For instance, I am now in the process, as Additional Chief Secretary of the Labour Department, of mooting an act for the welfare of drivers and transport workers. For this, I have to collaborate with the Finance Department for funds, with the Transport Department for data, and with the Law Department for drafting the act. Another example, in 2018, I organized a high-level conference for all leaders of southern India. For the logistics alone, I had to transact with the Interstate Council of Government of India for the delegate list, Protocol Department for proper reception to the delegates, the local district collector for sundry matters, hotels in Bangalore for accommodation, Kaveri Handicrafts and Mysore Sandal for gifts, Tourism Department for field visits, to name only a few. None of these organizations were subordinate to me in the hierarchical structure of government. So, I had to use not authority, but negotiation, persuasion, problem solving. A collaborative form of leadership was what was required. Today, a combination of technological possibility and an aspirational society has resulted in even more demands on the Indian bureaucrat. Why should I wait in the queue to pay my electricity bills? Let the system provide the facility online. I wish to purchase land in Bangalore, but I reside in San Francisco. Can I get the land registered without having to travel? Now, e-governance innovations are enabling such transactions. So, from a coordinator and network manager, the IAS officer is also becoming a social entrepreneur and innovator. So, as the nation evolved and the public matured, major disruptions have seen the IAS adapt, grow, evolve, and transform to meet that challenge. In a young nation like ours, leadership is evolutionary. But are there any constants in the leadership paradigm? I doubt whether the leaders of the world are on a search to find leadership. They are not bent over their iPads listing the qualities of a good leader, nor are they Googling leadership best practices. No, my friend, they are out there, working, doing, and being. So, what are the takeaways for you, the young leaders of tomorrow? First, courage in decision making. Many of you may have heard of the floods that devastated Kerala and Kodagu in Karnataka in August 2018. At the time, I was district secretary of Kodagu district, Coorg as it is called. I was at my desk around 11 a.m. on the 16th of August. I was called by the chief secretary, who asked me to leave immediately to oversee the rescue and relief operations in Kodagu. I left right then, without even time to pack, and reached Madikeri after a somewhat risky journey. On reaching Madikeri, I immediately began coordinating with the district administration, the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, and so on to expedite the rescue operations. The prospects were bleak in the first 2 days. Many Residents were stranded, and the rescue teams were struggling to reach them in hostile conditions. It was at that time, on the morning of 17th August, that I was approached by Jetna. Jetna is short for General Thimmaya National Academy of Adventure. It is very much a creature of government, but I had never heard of them before that day. Though we were in need of manpower for rescue operations, I was always cautious about earnest volunteers who wished to help without understanding the perils of nature's fury. But something about the Jetna team inspired my confidence. I questioned them carefully, satisfying myself regarding their skill and professionalism. Then I decided to give them a go-ahead. It was a decision fraught with risk. At that time, I had no one to either consult or take advice from, nor did I have time to postpone the decision. It was done then. And what was the result? Jetna mooted a courageous rescue effort where they saved the life of a 2-year-old baby. They hugged the baby to themselves and took her across the river which was in Spit to safety. The decision taken by me that morning saved that 2-year-old baby girl's life. Courage in decision making, cultivate it. Second, confidence. Many leaders have experienced the loneliness of eminence. It may appear to you very strange. We are so used to see powerful men and women surrounded by their followers. But take it from me, that is an illusion. When you reach the top, you will be alone. I want to draw upon history here. You have heard of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the charismatic JFK, 35th President of the United States. He liked to keep a verse in his wallet at all times and quoted it to the press during the Cuban Missile Crisis. It says, "Bullfight critics, ranked in rows, crowd the enormous plaza full. But only one is there who knows, and he is the man who fights the bull." The point I would underscore is, when you are a leader, you are alone. And you need to rely on your sense of self, your self-confidence. Third, compassion. As you become working professionals, you will be distracted by ambition, office politics, frustration. But believe me, there is no greater joy than making another human being happy. In 2013, as Managing Director of Kaveri Handicrafts is the Karnataka State Handicrafts Development Corporation. As Managing Director, I toured Bidar district, which is a very backward district in Karnataka, and I visited an NGO which produced sandalwood products. Normally when I visit a unit, I am received well, but this reception was heartfelt and truly warm. Hesitantly, the promoter asked me if I knew who he was. I did not. He began to explain. In 1996, about 17 years ago, I was a young director in the Rural Development Department and he was a young entrepreneur. A file to release 10,000 rupees seed capital had reached my table and he travelled from Bidar to my office to request me to sanction it. I was not aware of this. I was quick with files anyway. So before he reached Bangalore, the file was cleared. At my office, my PA handed him the order saying, "Your work is done, you need not meet madam." And he sent him on his way. Badayappa had waited 17 years to meet me, and the meeting had happened purely by chance. That seed capital of 10,000 rupees that I had sanctioned long ago had provided livelihood not only to his family, but about 150 women, destitute women, whom he employed. It was one of those days that I thanked God for making me an IAS officer. So, my dear aspiring managers and leaders of tomorrow, prepare yourself academically, but also prepare yourself for leadership with courage, confidence, and compassion. Good luck to you all. God bless you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.